If you want to know what is the impact of the budget as far as your standard of living is concerned, your purchasing power is concerned, you need to look at the budget and understand what are the provisions.
The Union Budget, an annual financial statement of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the government for that particular year, plays an important role in chalking out India's economic growth plan. Announcements made in the budget not only affect industries at the macro level, but also every citizen's cost of living as it impacts the price of commodities in the country. Even 2 years after living in the pandemic, its impact continues to daunt India's economy. People are struggling due to job losses and pay cuts. The healthcare sector is being tested each day. Hospitality and aviation are still looking to bounce back, especially as the virus shows no signs of slowing down. Amidst all this, the expectations from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's fourth budget are high. The Union Budget 2022 will be presented on February 1st, and with only a few days to go, we break down the technicalities of it and tell you how the budget affects all of us. To help us understand the budget better, we spoke to Dr. Joseph Thomas, Head of Research, 𝗱𝗶𝗶𝗆.
If you have to justify that why a common man should listen to the budget and what is in there for them to understand, or it directly or indirectly impacts their life and their income.
There are many strong reasons, valid reasons why a common man should try to listen to the budget and also understand what it contains, especially during these times that we are passing through. First of all, we are facing a high price level. High price level means inflation. Prices of goods and commodities have gone up, of oil has gone up, fruits and vegetables, all this has gone up. If you want to know what is the impact of the budget as far as your standard of living is concerned, your purchasing power is concerned, you need to look at the budget and understand what are the provisions. Not only that, even from the political awareness of a common person, it is very important that he looks at the budget, because that's where the government taxes you, spends that money on various things, and the quality of that spending is also very important.
So can you just give a quick glance on certain parts of the budget which you think that every Indian citizen should listen to?
There are 2-3 things that one should be looking at, which may not be directly relevant to the common man as such, but it definitely affects his welfare and well-being in the long run. The first thing is that, as you know, the government of India has been borrowing about 12 lakh crores every year. Last year and the current financial year also, the government of India borrowed 12 lakh crores. Government borrowed so much of money because they had to spend that money. Because of the pandemic, there was very little investment spending, nor any consumption spending. So the only option was for the government to spend. Because when the government borrows, they are taking resources out of the system, out of the economy, and they spend it. Number 2, you should also look. There is another thing called there is something called a fiscal consolidation, which a lot of people are talking about. Generally, it is expected that the Fiscal Responsibility Management Act and other government discipline would require the government to spend only 3% of the GDP. The government should borrow only an amount. The government deficit should be to that extent, only 3% of the GDP. Because of the pandemic and all that, it has gone up to quite a high level. So our objective is to attain something like a 6 to 7% over the next couple of years. We also need to see what the finance minister is going to do about reducing this government borrowing as also the government expenditure in a very systematic way.
What do you think that the government can do to give some relief to the common man?
The direct tax collection of the government of India has grown by about 60%, going by government figures in the last couple of years. It has grown by about 60%. Therefore, if tax collections have grown it is also important that the government passes on some of the benefits to the taxpayers. Government could also carve out a special limit for equity-linked investments like ELSS and equity-linked investments. Government could carve out a separate limit, maybe 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees could be carved out. Now that limit will have twin advantages. One is that it will encourage people to save indirectly because they would like to save taxes. Number two, it is indirectly giving a push to the equity markets and the saving habits. And number three, when you invest in equity markets, you generally tend to realize returns which beat the inflation. There is another important thing because which the government could focus on is that the government could give some concessions as far as expenditure on training and skill development and similar kinds of things are concerned.
While Dr. Thomas spoke to us to help us understand the budget and its terms, we also went out on the streets to understand what people's expectations are from the budget.
पेट्रोल भी है और बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं, थोड़ा बहुत राहत देनी चाहिए। अब जैसे कि ये बिजली है, अब चुनाव आ गए तो बिजली सस्ती कर दी सरकार ने, और जब चुनाव नहीं थे तो खूब भर के मतलब पैसा लिया जा रहा था।
देखिए जैसे गैस भी बहुत महंगी हो रही है, आम जो हम फ्रूट वगैरह सब्जी लेके आते हैं वो भी काफ़ी महंगा हो रहा है, घर की गृहस्थी की जो भी सामान है वो काफ़ी महंगा हो रहा है, उससे लोड पड़ता है हमारे लेडीज़ों के ऊपर। बचत में क्या करें हम?
लोगों के लिए इसमें आसाइश का सामान बनाया जाए, खासकर जो अभी महंगाई अभी अरूज पे जा रही है उसको कैसे कर्टेल कर लें। ये गैस, कुकिंग गैस, क्योंकि ये रूटीन में अभी हमारा डे टू डे लाइफ में यूज़ होता है, इसकी रेट बिल्कुल स्लैश होनी चाहिए, नीचे जानी चाहिए। डीजल पेट्रोल है जिसका डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट यहाँ की जो लोगों पर होता है, उसकी रेट्स भी स्लैश होनी चाहिए, वो नीचे आनी चाहिए।